Hey everybody, it's Chuck. All right, so we got 11.4.7 last night, and here we go. Old navigation data, nothing changed there. I just did my unprotected left turn video. We'll see which order I post these in, but generally the unprotected lefts, I'm calling it the same, maybe worse. But let's just say no change. The release notes are the same. I posted those this morning. If you need to see them on X, take a look there for those notes. I posted the HDMI extract. My first impressions drive needs to change up, I believe. We need to start getting some of these bugs that we need to look at. The overpass bug, some narrow roads, and some other things in there. Some highway traffic flow sort of logic. So I've got a route in here and I'm just going to manipulate it. I don't know exactly how I'm going to change it as we go, but I'm going to try to create a standard loop that incorporates a few more of the issues we're working on rather than just the rural setting of the Memorial Park Drive. So I know we've been doing this 3 years now almost. So yeah, it's just time to change it up a little bit. I mean, the rural roads are nice and there are still issues to look at there, but some of the latest issues. Okay, if it goes, it can go in the right lane, but it's got to give it a goose. Don't go now. Please don't go. Okay. What I noticed on my unprotected left video earlier is it was choosing the right gaps to go, but then it was committing way too late with the acceleration that was too low to commit. Here's the gap it needs to go for, and it should just jump in the right lane with a good boost here. See that slow crawl right there? That's why I don't like it to go. Faster lane, as that lane changed there, and it changed its mind because of some oncoming traffic behind me. So it started to commit and it changed its mind there. I'm okay with that. Some cars jumping in front of us, it did not overreact. A couple brake taps there, you saw the deceleration chevrons. So on the beta profile, for those of you that don't know, I have 0 override set, so you can see the speed limit is 45 and 45 is the max. It is a little painful to let that happen. I will try to let it go as much as I can and not be unsafe. But the car does behave differently when you go faster than the speed limit. Specifically in the double green light scenario, it behaves differently on how much braking it uses. So just for the purposes of first impressions, we'll level that out and say there is no override set. It is Friday morning at about 8:20, so this is kind of everybody heading to work rush hour. It's not jam-packed LA traffic, of course, but the density is relatively high. The route I've got in here right now is basically jumping out on I-10 through the I-95 interchange, which is very complex. It also will give us a pass over the overpass bug that I documented in 11.4.6. I have a hunch that here, wow, slowing down there to 42 ahead of a green light, and right after this green light is sometimes where I get the double green light bug, and there it is, slowing all the way down to 39 and then re-accelerating. Nobody in front of me, it just decides to do that. That is the classic double green light bug. And I was going the speed limit and it still decided to slow down 6 miles an hour with no traffic in front of me and 2 green lights. Don't know. To me, it's got some sort of crossing a green light. It knows it needs to see the next one, and somehow it's not sure what it is, green, yellow, or red, or something. It's still there. It's been there forever, and it's just kind of a nuisance bug. It's not really dangerous other than for people that might be tailgating you, not understanding why you're slowing down. A little bit of an aggressive slowdown there for this traffic way in front of me here. It's now saying, let me get over. It's a tight gap here, and it realized that truck behind me is not going to let me fit. He let me have room, so now it's committing. So using of the blinker and a little bit of intent made the big truck behind me, and I'll just show you in the camera, give me a little bit of room. So that was a good lane change, and using the blinker showed intent. Now here I am going 45 miles an hour, and now this truck is probably going to be a little bit annoyed, but that's just the way it is. Now you'll notice I won't get the double green light bug here in this scenario, underneath that green arrow in this next one, because these green lights are too far apart. So the distance between the lights is part of the double green light scenario and how it behaves. Just to throw that out there. I know Jake has done some good testing on that. And I appreciate everybody else taking some of these scenarios and putting their own spin on it and getting their own film of it, because it essentially validates the issues and gives the Tesla AI team, who I am sure watches these videos, a little bit more data to work from. So here's the section of the road that I am the asshole, for those of you that follow that subreddit. I'm the one in the middle lane going the speed limit, and everybody is going around me. So for those of you that thought that maintaining speed for traffic flow has anything to do with noticing the traffic around you and keeping up with it, that's not what it is. Maintaining speed for traffic flow, which was introduced in 11.4.6, is basically when the speed decreases from a higher speed limit to a lower speed limit, it does not immediately slow to that new speed limit. It maintains the speed for traffic flow if there are cars around you, and then eventually it will slow down to that new speed limit. So that's how it works. It's not a acknowledge the traffic around you and speed up or slow down. Okay, we are coming up on the scenario for the overpass bug. I just want to kind of show this here where it is, and then I'm going to go to the full view to see if we see any issues here and if they've fixed it. And there's the slowing down chevrons, and I got a car behind me and I got to accelerate. Okay, so that was the exact same overpass scenario that I had before, so there is no bug fix. I could not let it completely go because of a car right on my tail, but you saw the chevrons, you saw the stop line right at the crest of the overpass. If you want to see how that works, on my previous video, I did like 7 or 8 runs of it, and it's identical going north on Roosevelt. On south on Roosevelt, it doesn't do it. And if you look, it's basically back at this intersection right here of Edgewood Avenue and Roosevelt. So I don't know why it does it, but that's the overpass bug I've previously documented, and it is not fixed in 11.4.7. Okay, so now we're getting up on the kind of the traffic flow to the on-ramp for Interstate 10 I-95. This is a varsity intersection, and especially this time of day for humans. Granted, we'll see how the car does. It usually does okay, but because it's so cautious. And this time of day, it's because when you join I-10 East and the sun is coming up, it is right in your face. So humans are squinting, they're using their visors. It found a good opportunity to get into the left lane, which is very, very good. Now I'm going to use the split view here just so you all that aren't familiar can kind of see the traffic it's dealing with and the lanes it has to do. There are multiple ways for it to get north on 95. It can be in the far left 2 lanes. It can be in kind of the middle 2 lanes and go left. It can't be in the far right lane though. So there is a little bit of lane changing it has to do. So how the car, and it typically has one way it likes to go based on map planning data. It doesn't seem to know it has 2 options to get there. It can find itself in the wrong lane and let the reroute happen, and the reroute typically will realize, oh, hey, this works too. But I don't think that the planner seems to know it has multiple options to take. That's just my experience. I'd love to know if anybody has comments on that. Okay, I'm just looking for opportunities here, and you can kind of see I'm having to squint with my ball cap. I'm going to try to leave my visor up for visibility for you guys. It needs to get over, and it found itself near a truck, and it's got itself in a bind a little bit. Is it going to slow down and make a room? Okay, it's slowing down, changing lanes to follow route. The car behind me is being polite and letting me over. Now let's see, it got over. Good, that was nice. Okay, this lane works, but look, it's going 36 right behind this truck. It wants to get over, but it can't. Okay, I'm pressing the accelerator because it tried to get over, but it missed it, and I was going too slow at this interchange. So this is where I want you to look at speed. The reason I made that point about it has 2 options is this lane will work, yet it was fighting so hard to get over there, but now that it's here, it realizes this would have worked just fine. But what it was doing was slowing too aggressively to try to make the lane change it thought it had to make, but it didn't need to make it. Okay, so now look at the speed limit. For some reason, the speed limit is posted at 35 here, but the car is acknowledging, without the maintaining traffic flow, I'm going 50. So there's something in there. I did not set this. That's why I made the comment about the override. It is staying at 50, even though the map data is telling it 35. So that is good. 50 is still a little bit slow for this, but it is an interchange and it's an understandable speed, but humans are going 60 here. And this is just kind of the reason I made that point. I'm going 50, but now look, here's 45 and it stayed at 50. That's good. Exactly. Now it's got one more merge to go north here. And then I'm going to have to think about my route a little bit because I have not thought this ahead, and it's going to change that lane to follow the route, and it's good. Now it needs to start accelerating because now we're on Interstate 95, and I could be in an unsafe scenario if it doesn't recognize that we're on a highway. It's still going 50. I guess that map data may make it think, it still thinks it's on the interchange because it thinks it's 200 feet to 95. Let's see when we get to that 200 feet if it bumps it up. It still didn't. We're at 45. Come on, give me some speed. I really don't want to override you on this drive. Okay, I'm having to, it went to 50 and it stayed at 50. So I'm going to go ahead and jump off at the next exit and then do a U-turn back. And, okay, so that's me overriding the accelerator without using the scroll wheel. I probably should have just used the scroll wheel there, and I will. So this is back to map data. Map data is its Achilles heel in areas that it doesn't have a lot of history on, and sometimes the Vision Network is just being too conservative. You know, it was kind of enticing to think that the traffic flow alert was truly going to be watching for traffic flow and, you know, measuring the speed around you, but that is not what it does. So I'm going to exit here at 8th Street. I don't have a route in right now, and I'm going to go under the overpass. Let's see if I can actually get it to do that with map data here from where I am. Okay, it looks like it's got it now. Okay, we got a green light, so we'll try to let it do this underpass. This is good. Okay, so the lane change worked. And this is a very benign scenario here with a light. It's got an unprotected forward-facing left turn here. No green arrow. It is clear if it goes. It needs to commit. The car coming, and it committed. That was fine. It was a nice roll there. Okay, so now we're jumping back on Interstate 95 with navigation back down Roosevelt. I probably will change the route a little bit here. Probably going to get dinged. All right, so now it needs to get into the left lane, and it does have a route, so this should work. Okay, so that worked fine. So what I did is I put Memorial Park in here. I'm going to have it navigate off of the highway and get down to Memorial Park, and then maybe we'll do the return part of Memorial Park off this drive. So what I want you to see here is the maintaining. Okay, it's got 55, and it should slow down to 50, but it's probably going to say maintaining speed for traffic flow. Let's see, there's 50. And now it says 55 max, maintaining speed for traffic flow, just like I said. Okay, it's got the 55 max is highlighted blue. Maintaining speed for traffic flow alert went away, but it's still maintaining 55. It won't maintain 55 forever, but that is what maintaining speed for traffic flow does. It does not immediately slow to 50 when the speed decreases, but it does not maintain 55 forever either. See, there's really no cars around me, so it's not making this decision based on and there it dropped down to 50. So there's exactly the way it works for me. I know others have said it works differently. I am going a little slow here for traffic again. I got a car right on my tail, and I am on an interstate. And I am taking an exit here, so I'm going to let it get away with it and just annoy that person. It is the way it is. Okay, so that's exactly what I wanted to demonstrate, and I probably am going to kind of incorporate this route into my first impressions drive because the highway is an important part of V11 now. Okay, so now I'm going a little bit on uncharted territory, meaning like I haven't done this route before. But I got a green arrow now. This is where a human would be pressing the accelerator to go for it. And let's see if the light stays green long enough. Now it turns yellow. And that was a classic example. You see that van went for it? I didn't. It was slowing down for a green arrow because it didn't see it way out in the distance. As a human, I had 1,000-meter visibility of that green. No matter how good your vision is, we can usually see colors at that range unless you're, you know, color disabled, colorblind. You can't see reds and greens. But yeah, so if there was somebody right behind me slowing for a green arrow, there are parts of the country that you would get honked at. I don't think you're going to necessarily always get in an accident, but you're definitely going to get the who's the asshole here kind of, you know, comments from people. But I'm showing you what it does. I'm not trying to make it perfect here. Okay, so it's going to make a left turn here, and then it's going to jump on Riverside Avenue. This is Memorial Park. I'm going to change the route from Memorial Park, and while we're here, I can go ahead and add a stop and FSDBeta return after that. And I'm going to drag FSDBeta return down to the bottom. So that should give us a route. I just got to remember to delete Memorial Park. And the second half of that drive will be our original Memorial Park drive that many of you have come to know. Let me know what you think about this new route. Do you think it's important to incorporate the highway stack? You know, I think it is. I mean, and good God, the Interstate 10 I-95 interchange is not for the faint of heart. You do that and you're from out of town with that sun shining in your face and you don't know how many options you have to go north and you think you're in the wrong lane. Yeah, it can really get hard. Okay, so it's going all the way to the water here, so it's got a little bit and it's going to take a right. So let's see how this does. This should be just fairly straightforward. These streets here are relatively new and almost, I'm going to kind of make a joke here, California-like. If you notice, they got nice wide bike areas on the right edge. The streets are wide. The medians are well identified. The street lights are very high and in good locations. It shouldn't have any problem in this kind of a part of town, just because it's got the visibility it needs to see everything. Gas is $3.79 again here in Jacksonville. I don't know what it is in the rest of the country. I don't buy much gas. I've only got one car that burns gas, and I don't fill it up very often. But $3.79 is kind of creeping back up to where people are going to start thinking about buying EVs again. All right, here we are. It should kind of go up to this light, and it's got a right turn onto Riverside Avenue. For those of you that know this part, this is FIS, Big Financial Services, located here in Jacksonville. And of course, Morgan & Morgan. Everybody needs a lawyer, it seems like these days. All right, it's got a yield here. It treated it as a stop and went all the way across. Oh no, that felt like lane selection a little bit. And it started jerking to go back to the left. I don't have a good lane selection scenario here. Okay, it's got the right blinker on, but no alert. And the blinker just came off. And I'm going the speed limit of 30. And 30 feels slow, but this car is giving me a safe distance behind me. This is just, and it went to 35 and back to 30 there. Did you see that real quick? I wasn't looking at the screen, but I looked up and it was 35 and it went back to 30. I didn't see any signs, so that might have all been map data. Okay, I am going to go ahead and, okay, we got a red light here, so I'm going to modify this route at the red light when we're stopped. I'm going to edit the trip. I'm going to delete the Memorial Park stop, and it should take the exact same route. And it is. Yeah, let's have a little bit of a conversation here about V12. V12 is end-to-end, apparently, according to Elon, perception to control, and a complete rewrite. That is up for debate what a complete rewrite means. Like, they threw everything away and started over, or it's a complete rewrite of the control portion of the stack. I don't know. But the fact that we waited so long to get 11.4.7 out, and there were no changes in the release notes from 11.4.6, truly makes me feel like the entire team is working on V12 And we are trying to be put on a stable version that we can sit on for a while. That's all I can think of. You know, Elon has said 12 is in alpha and is not ready for us. If Elon is saying it's not ready, it's not ready. So I think that means that we have a little bit of a wait. My expectations on V12 is no sooner than the end of the year. Maybe, you know, if they start using the early access team differently than they have, and they start letting us see some versions that are very early builds, it might get out there, but that has not been their history. And with NHTSA kind of investigating everything they're doing, but there was some news today about NHTSA releasing something about the investigations from years ago hitting stationary vehicles back when they had radar enabled. Don't forget, they disabled radar for that reason, probably. That, you know, V12 is just going to be a wait. I don't know. I'm guessing. They could go to, 11.4.8. They can go to 11.5. They can keep doing this. I have a hunch they're resource constrained on working on two builds, or they don't want to waste the energy on two builds at the same time. So we're probably going to slow down this 11 stack and try to move towards 12. But that's purely just Chuck speculating off of doing this for a few years and kind of getting a little bit used to how they do these releases. Patience is, of course, required because it's never as soon as we want. But I do think that's how this is going to go. So maybe you guys can give me some comments on what you think on that. I would say this return portion of the Memorial Park has kind of gone as expected. There's not a whole lot of traffic to deal with. This has been pretty stable for a while now. It is going to take a left turn here. That's good. It's going to jump over on that portion that goes through, and it's got a green arrow. That's good. Protected. It needs to get in the right lane, an immediate right turn. It's got a green light, so it should be going, and it's slowing to 18. Now it's got I missed it with the yellow. That was interesting. So that was another scenario. It can turn right on red here. It looks like it might. Slowing for green lights is something that I think it shouldn't be doing. It's like it's slowing for the location it knows there's a light until it sees what color it is, or something like that. That's how I think about it. A human driver maintains the speed until you see something other than green. And sometimes if you've seen green for a long time, you're a little worried about it turning yellow and you'd like to proceed through the light without missing it. But this software sometimes slows down for green lights. Okay, we got our first flashing yellow. On this drive, they have been rock solid. They have always kind of shown a little bit of red in the visualization right as you go underneath it, and there you go. You just saw the flashing red. It maintained pretty much the speed. I think I felt the brake tap, and it went down to 28 or 29 there. Here we are down to 28 for no reason. You sit there and go, oh, that's only a couple miles an hour. 27 is 10% of the speed here. So 28 is, about 7 or 8% speed reduction for a speed limit that is already pretty slow. Got a biker way over here, VRUs, no issues with him. He's not even acknowledged as blue because we don't have to acknowledge it. So it's kind of treating the 30 as a upper end here. I kind of wish it would buffer between 32 and 28 rather 28 and 29 on a 30. But that's just what it's doing. There's nobody behind me, so I have no anxiety about, getting out of their way, going slower than the speed limit here, but just noticing why it's slowing down. All right, so coming up on a little village called Avondale. I've talked about it in my previous videos. It can be busy, especially around lunchtime when a lot of people are going to have lunch. There's angled parking. Got a pedestrian here crossing that it needs to honor. That's good. I don't hit that very often. It identified him blue, stopping way in advance. Perfect handling of that VRU. You see these spaces here, how they're angled? This is how the parking works. So the lane is defined by the end of the parking spaces, but it doesn't seem to map that. It doesn't use those parking spaces as drivable space anymore, but it also doesn't really acknowledge it on the visualization. If there are cars in the spaces, it seems to help to letting it realize it, but if there's no cars in the spaces, like see over here to the left, now this car pulled in there, and now go. Very slow to reaccelerate on that. I'm 30 and it's still at 17. Okay. the point I was just trying to make is the visualization ought to be putting these parking spaces in the visualization. The reason I say that is because if we're ever going to get to auto park, you know, reverse summon, all of these other things where the car, you know, needs that visualization of the paint needs to happen. Otherwise, you're just driving in a big open parking lot, but the lanes are created by the parking spaces, even if they don't have cars in them. All right, so this S-turn has always had some blinker behavior, and just as I said that, it did it. See how it turns on the right blinker, even though just because I'm turning 90 degrees, there is no lane change there. I usually get one more as I'm coming around this corner, kind of coming up here. Let's see if it comes through. If it did, I may have missed it. Okay, maybe it's not going to do the second one. If it did it, I missed it. I'm sorry. Okay, so the next big kind of thing is we're coming up on a traffic circle and oh, there's the second blinker. It did it there for some reason. This traffic circle is now mapped. It used to be a traffic light, so it's got a quick little yield flow roundabout type of a scenario. It's not hard, but it randomly chooses whether or not to acknowledge yields as stop, even if there's not cars coming or not. So it's trying to slow down. Okay, it put the stop at the the pedestrian crosswalk, not the yield sign. These cars are going. All right, good. It went there. Now it's coming around. Good. Okay. Hey, it did that one just fine. Low traffic, no pedestrians, but it did that one just fine. Okay, so now it's turning to the right here. Oh, and this is great. It's going to give me another unprotected left. It used to kind of cut this. No, it's okay. It's going for the stoplight, not the unprotected left. I'm sorry. All right, so this traffic circle has behaved a little bit differently with traffic coming the other direction. It did that one just fine. Hey, so 2 good traffic circles. Don't know if that's an improvement. I'll let Chris, Dirty Tesla, do all the testing for roundabouts up there in the north. You know, I know they have a lot of them in Carmel, Indiana. That's like the roundabout capital of the country. And then, of course, Europe has tons, but they're not driving the software version yet. We are behind a truck with a trailer just to kind of watch how the visualization kind of pops in 1 and 2 cars there occasionally. Got a little bit of construction with some cones. It needs to kind of go around. Look at it very confidently crossing the yellow line to go around that traffic. No issues there. Very wide street, so this is not a narrow road scenario at all. And then this is just a traffic signal with a protected left arrow back onto Roosevelt Boulevard that should be fairly straightforward. And get over here in the lane, and it's just fine. Okay, so we got a few minutes left till we get to our destination. 11.4.7, I don't know if they changed anything. Everything that I saw in 11.4.6 happened again today so far on that drive. The maintaining speed for traffic flow behavior is identical. The overpass bug is still there. The double green light bug is still there. I didn't see any bad lane selection choices. I have a better scenario on my narrow roads video for my lane selection. Many of you out there that have FSD have really good lane selection scenarios that happen at the exact same spot, exact same time. We're probably going to hear from some of those drivers like Mike or Rocco. Maybe Chris. Chris has got some of those too at Dirty Tesla. So those guys might be the best source for the lane selection issues. And they'll put some videos out here today probably also. Interesting. Do you see how it said changing lanes to follow route there? Look at my next turn is 1.7 miles ahead. It has done that before. Now that wasn't a horrible lane selection. I actually like being in the middle lane. But I'm not sure that is the right alert for what it is doing. If it had said getting out of passing lane, I'd have been perfectly okay with that. But changing lanes to follow route does not make sense there. There have been a couple times I've gotten that changing lanes to follow route alert when I think it's doing the lane selection bug where it's not getting in the right lane for what it needs to do. So if that was a lane selection indication, then let's just mark that one down. That is the behavior I've noticed sometimes when it's doing something wonky. You know, I need to stay in the right lane because I've already got my spot and I'm going to turn right, and then it gets in the middle lane to say changing lanes to follow route. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. So continuing the wrap up. I think this is all about getting everybody on a stable build, you know, that is on 11.4.6 and hopefully 11.4.4. There is some confusion now. They put the 11.3.6 crowd that's in production on a 2023.26 build that is now getting 11.4.4. We are still on 2023.7. And so we're way behind the actual production builds. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see if anybody from Hardware 4 gets this version. Chris from Dirty Tesla is probably going to be the first one we'll know because he has both a Hardware 4 and a Hardware 3 vehicle. And he is in the early access program getting these early builds. So I can't explain that. I know that they need to manage their builds and try to keep everybody on some solid stuff. 11.3.6 was getting a little dated, but there were some issues introduced to 11.4.4 that I'm not sure it's going to completely make everyone happy. But I guess coming up to the 26 build will make some people happy because there were some production improvements with the entertainment and Spotify and some other things that did improve. One turn here to go. It looks like it's going to be an easy roller forward-facing left turn. It does not need to even stop if it can see this gap here. And it should just roll this. No problem. That was easy, so no challenge there. Well, that's it, everybody. That was 11.4.7's first impressions drive. I hope you liked it. Leave some comments below. This might have been a little bit of a long video, but I know everybody's hungry to see how the camera quit just at the end of the drive, and I can't finish a video without saying, have a great day, everybody.